Can you really make $200,000 a year or more as a PA? Yes, yes, you can. It's not super common, but it's also not super rare. In fact, I'm seeing it more and more. Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm a practicing PA. Welcome to my channel. On this channel, I have been interviewing PAs for 3 years now. I have talked to so many PAs. I'm constantly in and out of PA forums and different social media groups, kind of hearing what PAs are doing and talking about out there. And I'm seeing this come up more and more. In fact, I've seen people on these forums talking about making 300, even $400,000 a year as a PA. Now, I don't know about that. I've never talked to anybody, any PAs making that kind of money, but $200,000 a year, that is definitely doable in the PA world. In fact, two people that I have interviewed on this channel, two different PAs, at least that I know of and can remember, make over 200,000 a year. One works in ophthalmology, very specialized field for PAs. The other one works in a special niche of cranial facial surgery. I just recently recorded that interview, so it won't be ready for a month or so. But keep your eye out for that one. It's pretty fascinating. So I personally have talked to PAs making over 200,000 a year, and like I said, I've seen lots of people say they have. In fact, I saw a post from a new grad who was completely blown away, but they got $200,000 as the offer for new grad working in urology. The information I'm giving you is also backed up by the 2025 AAPA salary report. It just came out. I mean, not the whole report with all of the PDFs. That won't be available until in summer, a couple months from now. But right now they've released like the preliminary data tables. And so I spent some time in and out of those tables doing different filtering and looking at different things. And there are definitely PAs reporting that high-end salary, 200,000 or more. And in doing the filtering, I didn't find any of those results for PAs with less than 5 years of experience. But the data definitely showed that PAs in the higher percentiles are making those high salaries. Now, there are a lot of factors that can influence getting paid these high salaries. The two biggest ones are going to be location and specialty. Obviously, location has a lot to do with your pay just in general. If you live in a high cost of living area, oftentimes you get paid more. Think like California. But I do want to point out that that is not always a correlation that can be made. I've seen in forums people making over $200,000 that live in all kinds of other states, rural areas and urban areas, and anywhere in between. And in fact, don't make that assumption that just because a place is a high cost of living that they're going to pay you well. I'm looking at like New York City, Miami, Florida, those areas, they're not cheap to live in, but they don't have the best PA pay. So definitely do your homework if you're looking to move to a particular area. Now, specialty is very highly correlated also to making high salary. Surgical specialties, particularly cardiothoracic surgery, that seems to be like some of the highest paying surgery around that I've seen. Dermatology and or aesthetic medicine definitely has to be up there. They they see like 40, 45, 50 patients a day, but they often work like 3 or 4 days a week and they make very good money. Next is emergency medicine and urgent care. I know some of you watching this who work in that specialties may be like, I don't make anywhere near that. And it's true, there is a wide range of the pay in this specialty, but there are reasons that these specialties can put you in that $200,000 bracket. One of them is if you're working in extremely rural or critical access hospitals. Sometimes it's really hard for them to keep staff and to get people to work there, and they need people, so they tend to pay higher. But even if you're working in more of an urban or just a regular general emergency room or urgent care, the way that people get to 200,000 is by working extra shifts. Because the schedule is a little bit more fluid, they work like 3 12s a week or they work 12 to 14 shifts a month. So they have those extra days available so they can pick up more shifts, either working overtime in the facility that they're in, if that's available, or picking up shifts somewhere else at an urgent care or another emergency room. So if you're willing to put in the extra hours and work hard, you definitely can get over 200,000 in those specialties. But those aren't the only specialties. I've actually seen people talking about working in family practice making like 185 or 200,000 or more a year. So it really depends on the opportunity. Sometimes it can be profit sharing, sometimes it's RVU, sometimes it's just a unicorn job in a private practice with somebody who pays really well. You never know where you're going to find these opportunities. So if you are interested in trying to get into the $200,000 a year club, or you just want to significantly bump up the salary that you have now, then I'm going to give you 7 tips that can help you. Obviously, these aren't a guarantee, but they are things that can help you move in the right direction. The first one is to be willing to leave your job. It's unfortunate, but it is a fact that one of the best ways, the easiest and fastest way to get a significant bump in your salary is to leave your current position and get a job somewhere else. And if you have worked in the same job for a long time and you haven't been paying attention to the job market, you might be really surprised if you stopped and took a look around, see what other people are getting. Number 2 is to consider switching specialties. If you're going to leave anyway, if you have an interest in another specialty, you might consider moving into it. As I just talked about, there are specialties that pay better than others, and usually most specialties pay better than family practice. Not always, but in general. Now, I will say, as with anything, don't do it just for the money. You have to have at least some interest in the specialty, otherwise, you're probably going to be miserable. Number 3 is to consider moving for an opportunity. There's a whole wide country out there, and sometimes you may find an incredible opportunity, but it's somewhere else. So think about it, talk it over with your family, see if that's something that you would be willing to do. If you are, then it's going to vastly open up opportunities for you. Number 4, and this probably should be number 1, is negotiate. Negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. Talking to people about money is so hard for so many people, and they just get uncomfortable and they don't want to do it. But you can get better at negotiating. There are plenty of videos online. In fact, I talked to a PA who is in administration, and she gives lots of great advice on how to negotiate PA salary and how to know what number to come in at. If you want to watch that video, I'll put it up here. But there's also plenty of books and articles and things that you can read as well. And you could also consider hiring a PA career coach. They can walk you through the negotiating process. They can even role play with you so you can practice negotiating. I promise if you learn to negotiate better, it is something that's going to help you throughout your whole life. Number 5 is don't be desperate. It's kind of like when you're dating, right? People can smell the desperation a little bit, and you're more apt to get into something that is not really right for you just because you are desperate and you need something. What's great is if you're not desperate, you can go on interviews, you can be a little bit more relaxed, you can feel free to kind of throw out some offer that you think is just crazy, which you may even be surprised that gets accepted. You also could get several offers where you can pit them against each other. So don't put off job searching until you've given notice and you are, frantic about finding something new. Always keep your eye out on the job market. Number 6 is networking. Networking is another one of those things that scares people. It's getting out there, talking to people, meeting people, join societies, go to conferences, go to dinners that are put on by the drug reps that come into your office. You never know who you're going to meet at these different events and what opportunity they may lead you to. And number 7 is be open to working overtime or taking those side gigs. It's not for everybody, and if you're already frazzled and overworked, I don't think that this is the solution for you. But if you have time in your schedule and you think you could pick up some more shifts, consider it. Having said that, it is important to remember that money is not everything. Having more money doesn't make you happier. You've heard it a million times. People on their deathbed do not wish that they spent more time working or that they had made more money. They usually regret not spending more time with their family or having amazing experiences and building memories with people. So don't sacrifice your quality of life just to get more money. Another thing to think about is not to risk patient safety. If you are working tons of shifts, you may be banging in the money, but you may be fried and just completely exhausted and not making the best decisions. With what we do, you could quite literally kill somebody or cause them significant injury. I've seen people, doctors, PAs, NPs, just working an incredible number of shifts so they can bank in that money and maybe retire early. But you will not have a pleasant retirement. You will not have peace in your life if you end up hurting people because you wanted to make more money. So seriously consider that balance. And one thing I'll say is if you are in a great situation, like you genuinely like to go to the office because you love your coworkers, you have support from administration, you've got great patients, you love the specialty you're in and what you do, I would really think twice before I'd give that up just for some more money. Because a situation like that, to me, is worth its weight in gold. Now, I know there's a whole slew of you that may be watching that are thinking, who enjoys going to work that much? I don't, my job's okay, but I just am not like in love with it. I don't really like to go. I get that pit in my stomach on Sunday night before the week is starting again. Well, it may be time for you to leave your job, but deciding that is often harder than it seems. I understand people don't want to give up something that's okay to risk getting something that's worse. So, if you want help with evaluating your job and want to know whether it's time for you to leave or not, then you might check out this video here. Well, I hope all this has been informative and eye-opening for you. Thank you for joining me, and as always, take care, stay sane, and I'll see you next time on the Medicine Couch. Bye.